I don't know about you, but for me, fall means apples. And what goes better with apples but some nice seared pork chops? The best thing about this recipe is that you only need one pan to make it. If you have a cast iron skillet, that's awesome, but anything that's oven safe will do. I'm using stamen apples that we picked ourselves, but you can use any sort of cooking apple, like a tart Granny Smith, Rome, or Empire. As for the pork chops, I get a boneless pork roast and cut my own. That's why they're so thick. If you're using something thinner, adjust your cooking time. See the description box below for the full recipe. Season your pork chops well and sear them over medium-high heat for 3 minutes on each side. I used a combination of salt, white pepper, and garlic powder. Also, you want to preheat your oven to 300 degrees. I'm cooking 4 pork chops in a 9-inch skillet, so I cut up 3 apples into wedges that I peeled and cored. In a large bowl, combine a drained can of sauerkraut with a half cup of brown sugar and a splash of white wine, then mix it all together. The wine is optional, of course. After you've fried the pork chops, you don't have to clean the pan. Just go ahead and add your apples and spread them out across the bottom. The juice from the fruit and the sauerkraut will deglaze the pan nicely. Place the pork chops on top of the apples and make sure to include the juice that came off when you cooked them. Cover everything with your sauerkraut and brown sugar mixture and then put it in the oven for 45 minutes. That's it! Baking the whole skillet in the oven like this ensures that your pork chops are cooked all the way through and still tender. It also gives the apples a chance to break down a bit. I tend to keep things pretty simple, but there are lots of ways you can add different flavors to this recipe. Adding caraway seeds to the sauerkraut is pretty traditional, but I don't care for them, so I left them out. Another cool idea would be to add some sliced sweet onion to the apples and saute them in the pan first with a little bit of brown sugar and butter. If you need to stretch this dish out, you could also add some sliced kielbasa to the pork chops before you put on the sauerkraut layer. So here's the final product. I was starting to lose my daylight, so I went ahead and plated it up to show you what it looks like. I would really serve this with some boiled potatoes or crusty bread and butter on the side. Here, I'm just showing it with the apples, the sauerkraut, and some pickled beet slices. Before you serve it, you want to make sure to mix up the apples and the sauerkraut with all of the brown sugar juices that went to the bottom of the skillet. It makes a huge difference. If you need a little something extra for your pork chop, mustard is the traditional side. I hope you like this recipe and give it a try. It's really easy to make, and even though it bakes in the oven, the prep time is relatively short. Drop me a line in the comments and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you.